Check, check, mic check, test. This is a test. Y'all should be able to hear me. It looks like you can. All right. Without further ado, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of Elude Stalwart Plays. Today, we're going to be playing the Crew 2, listening to some classical, and going for the bag. We're going to go for the money bag. Oh, I just closed that. So much for music. Hold on a second. False start on the offense. Delay of game. Penalty. Let me get the music back. Spotify, web. Classical bangers. We're just listening to dun, dun, dun. We'll start this one over. Y'all ready? So what I had planned here was, we're going to start off here with the Corvette ZR1. We're going to get a money bag after each race. It's going to have like $400,000 to $500,000, or bucks they call it. And we're going to work our way up. We're initially going to have the vet here get us enough money to purchase let me not butcher the name, Koenigsegg. We're gonna get one of those, a Regeras type. And we're eventually gonna be able to buy a vehicle called the Masked One. So there's a vehicle called KS the Masked One, or Masked Leader, if that's what it's called, Masked Leader. So that thing's like, I think 1.7 million, but even before that, the Koenigsegg is also like 1.2 million or something. All I know is I got a race, and we're gonna do quite a few of these, switching up the vehicle as we, like, you know, just decide we want to switch it up. But working our way up to the KS Masked Leader vehicle. Now you'll notice this is different than my normal just post a video type stream. We're also streaming for the first time on YouTube in a long time. Hey, my son's, what is it? Koenigsegg. Okay, Koenigsegg. Thank you, sir. I was like, how did the universe just create a vortex on me right as I just started this race here. We've been working at it for probably it's been like 30 minutes. It's been 20 or 30 minutes I've been trying to get off the ground here. I thought for a second I would have to step away, but that was just my son correcting my pronunciation. I may have the volume a little loud. That's why I sound a little confused as I'm talking. I'm trying to A, warm up my vocals, B, stream for the first time on YouTube in a while, and be aware of the chat. So yeah, we're just gonna start focusing here and hopefully get into our groove. Yeah, we got a lot going on here in the Stalwart Vanguard. I thought it'd be cool to start with the Corvette because I haven't heard the Corvette's engine in a little bit. You guys have probably heard it more recently than I have, if you've been following the channel and watching the videos as they've been coming out. I think there's one coming out today. I'm getting excited because the races are getting more interesting, and there's a cool little event that's coming up that I can't wait for you guys to see. But all the while I'm like, man, I want to try some different vehicles because I've been mostly just racing the Ferrari, and that Ferrari is pretty fun, by the way, the 488 Pista. But they have a super fast, which is more horsepower. I'm thinking about checking that one out. And there's some other types of vehicles as well. I was looking for a Mercedes. They don't have a hypercar Mercedes. The Mercedes they do have is a street racing vehicle, and that's a McLaren. It's a Mercedes AMG McLaren. And I was like, man, if only Street Race had a very long money bag race as well, then I could probably mess around with that. What the heck?
What the heck? Get out of here.
There's been a lot of traffic today, it seems. We're having some issues. I think we just want to make the race interesting, that's all. We're just making the race interesting. That's what I like to think is like, maybe subconsciously I want more of an interesting race, so I let them get a little bit of a lead. My shortcuts don't seem to be paying off as much as they used to. I've never raced to classical before, so this is a new experience for me as well. I was thinking, how can I make it to where my video is not going to be DMCA'd to oblivion? And I think the rule is something like if the song's 50 years old or older, it's not, it's like, it's open. It's like anybody can use it and it's not copyright. But I don't know how true that is. I don't have the capacity or the wherewithal. Like, I just want to go fast. I just want to go fast. But I'm trying to share this experience with more people and encourage other people to share their experiences that they enjoy as well. Because this is me and my fun place. This is me and my. I actually had a talk I was giving on one of the most recent episodes that I released, or that's on the docket to release. And the damn music's way too loud. And I put a little disclaimer in the description. I'm like, hey guys, the music's a little loud in these. But you hear the music start to ramp up, the car's racing, and I'm just like, wop, 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 wop. In the background, you can't hear shit I'm saying, except for like a word every once in a while. And that's the vibes I get from the energy I'm playing. Like the music that's playing right now, I'm getting an energy from it it's kind of like that same kind of frenetic, kind of manic vibe. I'm trying to get knuckled in. I'm trying to get buckled up. I'm trying to get tuned in, tapped in, and turned on over here. And I think we gotta flush the pipes out. So bear with me while we flush the pipes out. And I get into race mode. I'm switching my task as well. Dr. Andrew Huberman, he says on the Huberman Lab podcast, he says it takes 20 minutes when you're task switching to fully integrate your focus into the task you're currently focused on. So you really should have like a 20-minute warm-up. And in a way, when I start my streams, I'm getting my 20-minute warm-up in the back end going. And then by the time I get that all set up, I'm usually kind of like frazzled a little bit, because YouTube backend's a little different than Twitch backend. I'm looking at a new UI and I'm trying to make sure the bitrate and all that stuff's solid. Actually, you know, to interrupt myself here, setting it up was pretty easy. OBS was like, do you want to connect your Twitch? Or your YouTube rather? And I was like, yes, I do want to connect my YouTube. And then it just did. I just signed in and it did. Now me being a OG operator that I am, I was like digging around in the back end of YouTube looking for my stream key, trying to navigate the websites. And I'm like, I do this, I feel like I do this way too often, and I'm getting better at not doing it. I overcomplicate things. Like, I think it's gonna be some like huge arduous task to get something simple done if I've never done it before. And it's not until I do it for the first few times that I get the confidence to be like, oh, okay, this actually ain't shit. Or like I thought it was. And yeah, you're getting to see that. Like I guess I'm trying to share that process of me doubting and scuffing things, trying to fix things and fixing things that are scuffed. Like, it's a messy process, but I'm letting y'all see how the soup's made. Oh, look, soup. Soup's ready, guys. All right.
Yeah.
I hope the audio's better today, though. I hope y'all can hear me clearly. It feels like some of the guts are taken out of my voice a little bit with the way I have my audio filter set up, but it's the what is it? Voxel Monango plugin. It pretty much gives me an equalizer for my microphone, so I can set it up to where it's brighter and bassy, or I can give it like a radio quality where it's all just highs, or I could like gut the mids like I did. Like right now, you kind of don't get much mid from me. I'm just trying to make this little Amazon Basics gaming headset microphone be a little bit extra more professional. In some ways, like, I think we hide behind our filters, and in a lot of ways I try to, like, when I'm trying to be intimate, if I'm trying to connect more, there are little to no filters. In some cases I feel like I put myself through filters so I can feel safe to channel, and maybe I'm channeling when I have filters, but it's not anything intentional. It's all just like, when I look back, I'm thinking about like, why did I do that this way, or what was I thinking whenever I made it like this, or added this effect, or because sometimes they do like little magic. It's like, oh, that lined up, what is that? And when I see those lineups, it's like I'm on the right track. And I feel like other people see those lineups and they're like, oh, okay, well, like, I don't know what people think. I actually don't care what people think. I'm just like trying to communicate with myself. And what's weird is like, I'm along for the ride like you guys are, I feel. Because I go through and I do all this, and for me, like, I'm so close to it. I'm like right there on the ground floor of the creation process, and it's not until later I climb up the skyscraper and look back down at what I was doing from a higher perspective that I realize, oh, okay, so like each next floor, each next level up I go in this building, I get a higher vantage point, and I can see more of what's going on in the grand scheme of things. And then I start to understand where I'm fitting in place, like with my streams, or like where this video goes in like, you know, my narrative or the story that I'm creating. And I don't know if like this is something other people experience, or what the creative process is like for others, but I'm learning my creative process, I feel, kind of like openly, and I feel vulnerable. Like sometimes I feel vulnerable because I'm like telling you the parts that I'm working on, so it's like, okay, this is where someone can sabotage, and now I will be robbed of confidence. But I'm also kind of a badass, so I'll like go ahead and challenge me, I guess. I mean, I'm gonna need to be confronted at some point and gain that awareness. And in some ways, like, it's kind of dumb. It was like, I feel like you go out there and you just stick your jaw out and wait for people to hit it, but in some cases, people won't, because they're like, hold on, this motherfucker, why is he sticking his jaw out like that? That's what I would think anyways. So, I don't know, like, I'm not sure what part I'm processing by communicating this, but I feel like we caught a vibe for a second there, so we're going to keep going. I've also been noticing, like, I get with the Ferrari customization week, we got the green wheels. I'm like, am I like a Joker? I've always kind of resisted that idea, like, or felt like I've not really, because, I mean, growing up, we used to get these stickers. You go to the laundromat and they had these little stickers, like a quarter pinball machine, or like a gumball machine you put a quarter in, and we get all these like lowrider stickers. And you'd have like little figures that you could collect too. You had like Flaco and Flaca, and you had Esqueleto and all these. And one of them was like Joker. And I even remember Friday making fun of it. It was like Friday or next Friday. I think it was the Friday after next. It was one of those days at the end of the week. And he made a joke about like, this guy's big Joker, this guy's little Joker. And like, yeah, I always remember everybody wanted to be Joker. It was like, Joker's the cool one. I don't know. So I've never really like I've never felt that in me. Like, I don't feel like I'm a Joker. I don't feel like I'm an outlier, really. I kind of feel normal, but my normal isn't normal, apparently. I mean, it is for some people relate. Like, and what's crazy is like the ones who know you, like on a soul level, I guess, like the ones that are meant to like vibe with you, they just will. And you don't have to try or force or anything. You just, it's a matter of just showing up and then making them feel comfortable to show up because you're there. And it's like, oh, somebody familiar showing up. I could show up too. So yeah. That's more what I try to do. I try to go and just like take up some space and be like, hey guys, this is where I'm playing on the playground. This is where I take up space. And I give two shits if anyone shows up. Because I'll have fun regardless.
Yeah.
But yeah. Especially when it's something like this, like something collaborative. Like that's what's so cool about technology and art and stuff. Is like everybody can add their perspective and it just adds. It's like improv. It's like yes and. It's like everything you said and this. Like you don't take away from anything anyone adds. You just add to it. I used to love that watching Whose Line Is It Anyways? I used to watch that just rolling over, laughing, like bursting into tears, some of the skits that they would do. Like improv's always been a huge, it's like interest in mine, and you could tell, I could tell, well I feel like I could tell, maybe it's staged sometimes, but I like to watch movies and you see like those moments where even the actors are holding on to try to not like break the scene, but like something so unexpected or special happened, you could see like the real reaction to it. Like that shit tickles me to no end. Like whenever I see something like that. And things like busking, like people performing out for everybody for just like no reason, just because it's like, it's almost like you're just painting the environment with an ambience of a vibe when you're out busking. And it's like sometimes a memory that someone's gonna have forever, and it's just like kissed and complimented by your soundtrack in the background. If a TikTok is posted in the forest, does it make a sound? Because I was thinking that's kind of what I'm doing with mine. Like I throw my TikToks out there, and in a way, in my mind, that's like busking. Like I get emotional whenever I see like somebody out there, and like there's like another person that comes up and joins in, and there's just like that chemistry. Like that shit, it moves me. I get my innards become moved. So yeah, it touches me in my nether. All right, let's go. But yeah, I try to channel that vibe of whatever I'm feeling, like the emotion that I'm going through. Or like I put it, the way I put it in my last video was like processing. I named the video Red Eyes because I was gonna make a post. I was gonna do like a vulnerable post, but I was a little bit too wrecked. I don't think I could have. And I don't even really remember what the subject is because there's been so much. Like I've been feeling like I've actually been putting away. Like I've been putting things to rest that I've been carrying for a long time, and it's like back to back to back realizations and epiphanies and like perspective changes and paradigm shifts and stuff. And it's a lot. It's a lot. I mean, you gotta keep your balance. You gotta stay centered. But there's this zone you can go into, and I'm about cultivating that zone. And the more I'm carrying with me, like the more I'm being held back out of that zone. So at this point, I feel it's a necessity to get rid of this stuff. Like anything that doesn't serve me at all, like I want to suffocate it. Like I just don't want it to exist in my life. Because the more you empower yourself, the more a person empowers themselves, the more they empower other people around them. Like I resonate so much with like the anime world in a lot of ways, with some of their ideologies and philosophies and stuff. And ideologies like ninjutsu, okay? Like don't come after me. But like in Bleach, like that's like the Shinigamis and Soul Society and all this stuff like that. Like Ichigo becomes like kind of tapped in and turned on or awakened at some point, and he's got so much spiritual pressure that it's bleeding off into the people around him, and the people around him have their own little mini like spin-off series and stuff like that, just because like their lives are affected and they become the champions of their own lives as well. kind of complimenting Ichigo at times. So with all that, like, I felt like I've been in the Hueco Mundo stage, like of the Soul Society. Like, we've already established I got a mask, so we've already established that I can go Bankai, but I can't control that shit yet. Like, when I get to the level where I can go Bankai or I can go Kaioken attack, and that's just like, you know, times 50 or times 100, and I'm like Lewis Hamilton, just locked in the zone for 5 hours straight. That's the goal. We're gonna get there, guys. Ultra Instinct. We're gonna go platinum. That's what it is. Just wait till I get my legs out underneath me. We finna start going. But yeah. And I'm watching this footage back, so in a way, like, when I'm doing these races, I get to watch it back and, like, I'm keeping myself company, which is interesting. Like, I didn't expect that, and it's funny because I'm laughing at my jokes. And I'm like, ah! But, and I get all of them. Duh. But, not only that, but, like, I'm doing the B-roll. Like, I'm watching the footage before the game, like, as well. Like, I'm watching the fight, like, and seeing, like, oh, I should have did this turn there. Like, I actually get kind of irritated whenever I crash into something and I slam into a wall. I'm like, shit. Like, watching it back, I'm like, come on, man. And then I hit these little streaks, and I'm like, yeah. And for whatever reason, we always got to hit this nightclub up. I don't know. It's Showgirls? Okay, maybe that's a detour we're not worried about. We'll go ahead and take the L on that one every once in a while if we have to. We had to grind off of the rail there. We're going to hit the Vegas Strip. It's beautiful. Look at this. Oh, it's getting busy. It's getting busy. Yeah! I didn't cut it too sharp that time. That felt good. Ugh. Nah, man, off the wall. I've been falling off of poetry lately. Rapping's okay. I need to do way more with, like, maybe my production or, like, staying on a beat, or, like, there's something I'm missing there. But there's also something there. Like, I don't know if y'all... The lyrics, there's something going on with the lyrics. Because there's, like, double and triple meanings and callbacks and references. And, like, I don't know. In my mind, that's what I'm doing, but I don't know if it's coming across like that. Like, I've only done the one AI one. The other ones are mine. Like, I feel like I can tell the difference if it's mine or not. The AI one, I was like, make me a rap. And it actually put a, like, chorus. I was like, a rap, not a hip-hop. Like, it made, like... And when I was doing the Speed Demon Unleashed song, I was, like, rapping the chorus. And I was like, oh, I've learned recently, TikTok was like, you know, you're making lyrics and stuff. You can actually have a part where you sing. And I was like, oh, I should have sung the chorus. Speed Demon Unleashed. Unleashed. No, I don't know. I would have to hear a beat or something too. It's just the acoustics in this room, and there's light in my eyes, and my throat is dry and parched. And the humidity, the elevation. Our pets' heads are falling off. I always think you should add something like if it's not a partridge in a pear tree, then at least the pet's head's falling off. If it's a list, you have to have a list of things. There's got to be enough on that list to make it what you would call a real list. Rangigagang. I kind of like the first person perspective. It feels like I'm running on the track. But I kind of like in the cockpit too, watching it back, but you have little to no visibility. This is more of a flex than anything. Because this is kind of hard. Oh no! I like this because you can see the graphics. Wanga gang. Okay, come on. Get off the walls. Yeah, I feel like if I'm gonna start nailing this race, I currently have all my comfort spent into monetary. It's all spent on bucks. I got like 200 and something points into bucks. So after I win each race, I'm getting like something like 30% more of the cash reward. So I'm getting closer to buying the next vehicle faster. When I get these super high horsepower vehicles, like all of this will have been training for that moment. Once I get these high horsepower vehicles, I can then run this track that I've trained on at a slower speed with a faster vehicle now that has more horsepower. And the idea is I'm going to have all the training necessary to just be able to rip straight through the track. That whole detour was totally not planned. I was just trying to keep it going, and it seemed like it could have worked, and it did, but I don't know how I did on time. But yeah, the point is after I get the vehicles that I want, the high horsepower vehicles, I will switch all my comfort points from the 200 something points into the monetary gain. I'll switch that to NOS. I'll switch that to drifting and airtime, like whatever I can to make the vehicle move faster, and then I'll start shattering the lap records. So I do plan on playing at a high and competitive level with this race specifically in the very near future. Like as long as it takes for me to win all these races. There's also a 4 million buck motor pass available for like 60 days. It's like the deluxe motor pass, and I do want to get that. But I need to get the 4 million bucks. And I'm trying to get that before the event ends within the next 50 days so that I can then get all of basically the car and all the little perks and package bonuses that has. But yeah, I'm racing to get faster vehicles to race to get more cool shit. Because I figure once I get a really fast vehicle, or the fastest vehicle that I can, I'm going to get more money per hour whenever I race back to back. So it's all going somewhere. This is all, there is a plan here. It looks like I'm just racing. It looks like I'm just driving around and racing the same race in some of the same cars. But we're forward looking here at the Stalwart Vanguard. We're just so far on the edge, I even got to catch up to what I'm doing sometimes. And what I'm doing changes too. I'll start out with an idea and I'll be like, okay, so that's not practical anymore. And then we'll switch. And it's like, oh, everything I did led perfectly to this thing though. So that's what's really kind of cool about measured progress over a long duration. Measuring something I could honestly probably get better at doing. In a way, I almost feel like whatever you're not naturally good at, like do your best to outsource. But also push yourself to become more naturally good at more things. So, I described it to my wife as installing an antenna. Whenever we used to have to lift antennas in the military, you would pull kind of like a pole up in the air by these guidelines, and these guidelines had to be like under tension. And if any one of them had more tension than the other, or less tension, then you couldn't erect the antenna like the way it should be, like vertically. And this was a huge problem if there was like winds and stuff like that. You had to have it anchored really well. So in a way, like I think of it like that. Like I was talking about balancing plates and rocks and all that before. Like that same analogy could be guidelines. Like actually, even any of these power lines here off on the side of the road were probably erected the same way, like using tension and pulling it, and they're under tension right now actually, like they're all under tension connected to each other. But yeah, so in that same way, like most of the things I'm managing in my life, or like the activities that we plan on doing or anything like that, there's a give and take, but sometimes you can strike the right balance and get the right amount of tension. And I think that's called grace. I think you can live and breathe and exist within a grace with things, as long as you're mindful enough and aware and you continue a practice that consists of that. One thing I heard today, I was listening to Jay Shetty talk to Lewis Hamilton on the Jay Shetty podcast. Jeez, Jay Shetty podcast. And yeah, they were talking about the importance of like having those solid relationships where you can confide in somebody. You can have people around you that are positive and uplifting, that all equally have, like, you know, each other's best interest at heart. Now, there is an idea that you can get surrounded by these people that won't tell you reality. Like, they'll only tell you what you want to hear just because you want to hear that. Which I understand. Like, I get that people, like, are afraid of being controlled or manipulated or something like that. But I like to think of it more like this person has a vested interest in my best interests coming to pass because that benefits them. Just like Ichigo and his friends, right? So what I focus on more is how can each of us use our natural gifts and abilities to the furthest extent possible, and then outsource anything that we don't have in our control or in our awareness. And like, in the same way that you can build an elite level team that competes on a professional world-class level, like, there has to be that same kind of like cohesion. Like, I used to get weirded out by this idea of fraternizing. I went to high school. I think it was my speech teacher. I had a speech teacher talk about her military service and how she would hang out. She was like an E5. She got promoted 5 times and was basically like a manager rank, a supervisor in the military. And what she said was she had developed a close personal relationship and bond with her team, for the simple fact that if they're in a war environment, like a war zone, and it's like, you know, attacks and stuff like that, and you got to have someone look out for your back and you're looking out for their back, like, you want to have somebody that you can trust with your life. And why would you not hang out with somebody that you trusted with your life? Like, there would have to be that camaraderie there somehow, right? So in the same way, like, we could just play games and have fun together and build that camaraderie and that team. And we could also figure out the dynamics of, like, how we work. Like, whenever you play, it's often like how I've heard how one person does one thing is a good sign of how they do most things. Or the way I heard it was like how somebody does one thing is how they do everything. But I think it's not how they do everything. Maybe there's a lack of awareness sometimes, and if they had that foresight or that knowledge or that awareness, maybe they would do it in a different way or with a different light. But I think it's still important to recognize, like, we can develop awareness and we can also fill in the gaps for each other's awareness if there's that bond or that trust or something. And I don't know, like, there's got to be a better way. Like, I feel like TikTok does it really good with its algorithm and finding, like, people that have the same kind of likes and interests and stuff like that. But maybe business is the way. Like, honestly, this is probably I feel like business could be the missing link, the link to the past that I need all this time. I feel like maybe I should have got promoted more in the military to gain the foresight or the oversight. I don't know. It's interesting to me though. Like, what I feel like I'm doing is what I would have done anyways if I had not left the military. And kind of like when I was getting out of the military, I was like rejecting everything about it because I just wanted independence. Like, the whole reason why I joined the military was just to get out on my own. And once I got that, but there was more. There was apparently more. Like, I was a young person. All I wanted was my own say-so and control over my life and situations. And here we are, off into the abyss at the finish line, guys. What the fuck was that? I don't even understand. We're looking pretty banged up here. But yeah, the military would have trained me that stuff if I'd have stayed in, but I just wasn't in that place anymore. I was so resentful for missing time with my family and like time away from like even just being stateside. Like, I don't know. Till next time, guys. Peace.